Hi, intrepid trumpet fans. Thanks for checking in with me again today. We're looking at number 21, the last etude in Nathan Ost's 21 Lip Flexibilities for trumpet. Now, I'm doing this at the risk of significant possibility of embarrassment because I haven't gotten this to the point where I can play it for you as a performance. It's marked 60. In the tempo, 60 to 66 is the range. Now that doesn't sound like much, but as you'll see in a minute, when I play it, it gets a little busy at that tempo. So this is in 6/8, 16 notes are flowing throughout. And I'm going to try and play through it, but I don't think I can do so successfully, especially at the tempo. That's okay, because what I'd like to do in this session is make a few observations of things that I would need to work on in order to get this to the point where I could perform it. I realize this isn't for everybody. If you're an advanced player, even an advanced player, I think that this will challenge you. As a matter of fact, it may be a little snarky to say so, but I'd like to hear Mr. Ost play these since I know he's a trumpet player. But it's always possible for a composer to write something that's too difficult for me to play. So this is, consider this a kind of an adventure, and that's the way we should look at everything that we're playing. We're under no pressure here, it's just, let's see what I can do. So here's the tempo. So that's 16th notes, and here's the pattern. And then it changes slightly as it moves through, very typical of these etudes. Now, that's not too much problem, but I already encountered an issue that I want to address. If I'm playing this, I can feel it in two different ways, because it's in 6/8. I can feel it do-do-dee-do-dee-do-dee-do-dee-do-dee-do, or do-do-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. And one of those might feel better than another one, not just psychologically, but physically. It looks to me like this might be easier feeling it in 6 rather than in 2. Do-da-dee-do-dee-do, do-da-dee-do-dee-do. But that's going to be up to you to decide. So I'm going to put the metronome on. And try that figure again. So now I'm getting sloppy. So this is a little bit like driving, maybe in the winter. The roads are a little bit slippery, and all of a sudden you realize you have no traction. And so there's a little bit of panic, and if you went to a parking lot someplace and did some skidding, you know that you steer into the turn. You're trying to compensate for the fact that the car is, the back end is starting to come around. And so that's kind of the way it feels. So that's just an indicator. Well, let's slow things down. And there are several ways to do it. You can just slow the tempo down. Let me try it at that tempo. I'm going to start at bar 4, since that's where I started to get into trouble. Now, I just ran into something interesting. I started at bar 4, but that was the middle of the pattern. So that messed my brain up. So I would need to be thinking, if I'm going to start there, I need to be thinking in the pattern that's already established before I start. And this is an important principle for all music. When you're playing an orchestral audition, for example, or any of you who play in an ensemble, where the ensemble is going, the music is flowing along, someone else may have a part that connects to your part. You have to wait for that person to finish playing and then begin playing. But that's actually not the right mindset. If you wait and then start when they're done, you're always going to be reacting. You'll always be following them. You need to actually be psychologically playing it with them. Now, this is not an ensemble, obviously, but my mind was not in the right place. So again, I made a mistake. So I'm going to slow it down even more. and get back in the groove again. I still feel like I'm sliding on the road a little bit, but I'm not losing control. I'm not going to crash. I'm just going to be a little bit sloppy. Maybe I'll bump into the snowbank, or maybe I'll cross the line. Except in the winter, you can't always see where the line is. But you get the idea. I'm starting to lose control, but not so that I go off the road, not so that I crash. And you have to be psychologically aware of that. Be honest with yourself when you're losing control, because if you keep playing that way, you end up training yourself to play sloppy and training yourself to play tight. And there's a place to put yourself under stress where it's beyond the speed, for example, where you can play. That's what I tried to do at first, and it didn't work out so well. So I'd immediately just dial it back until I get into the place where I can feel a groove again. Now, if you were listening, you heard some of the interesting anomalies, and this is very typical of Mr. Ost's compositions. They're basically harmonic progressions. And some notes you keep coming back to. For example, in the first two bars, you keep coming back to the low C. Low CG, CG, CG in every bar. In the next two bars, it's B and F sharp. And that's consistent all the way through. But there are a few notes that change. And in any pattern, it's noticing where the pattern changes that helps you to grasp what's going on. So I'm going to do it from the beginning again and see how far I can get at this reduced tempo. So now I'm down to 50. And I'm going to put it so that I'm feeling it in 2, because to me, that helps me to settle back into the feeling of a groove, and that's what I want. Now I got scared. I saw something coming that looked way too difficult. It went from low A flat up to high C, really, really quickly, and with big intervals in between. So this leads me to another point. Don't be intimidated. Yes, there are certain things that you can't do on the trumpet. There are certain things that maybe your percentages are only 10%, or maybe you're hitting 90%. But you know that you can't play it perfectly every single time. And the goal is to get to the point where what used to be a difficulty for you now becomes an enjoyment. That's the ultimate goal, no matter what the obstacle is. So in order to do that, you have to give yourself the chance. So I'm going to just play this really slowly, and I'm even going to take it out of time. This is starting at bar 7. So that's the last 3 bars of the piece, and you can see you're going along kind of managing pretty well, as I said, keeping the car on the road, and all of a sudden you see that up ahead the bridge is missing and you slam on the brakes. So this is kind of psychologically what tends to go on. Instead of you speed up so that you can jump across the gap and land on the road on the other side. Now, I know that's kind of a dramatic way of thinking of it, but a lot of these psychological things are actually happening. And noticing that that's happening is going to be very, very helpful to you as you work. You just say, whoa, this is not a life and death situation. I can actually get out of the car and look around and see what my odds are and see what I need to do, right? So now I'm going to work on that section, those last 3 bars. And these are big slurs. But I'll give you a couple of concepts that I hope will help. I can do better than that. I'm going to try it again. I'll tell you what I changed. Instead of trying to play every note, I concentrated on the notes where I needed to gain my stability, which is the beginning of every bar, in the low register. If I have flow through those notes and a sense of stability, my chops are stable, I'm not holding on, I don't have the white knuckles on the steering wheel, so to speak, then I feel that I have momentum to go into larger intervals. And this is something that a lot of teachers talk about. I've done quite a few videos on Charlie Porter's etudes. He mentions this quite a bit. It's something that Charlie Schluter talks about a lot, something that Dave Monette has referred to, and many other people. There's a feeling of momentum in the flow of the air that you can gain in the lower register. As you go up, there's a tendency to kind of squeeze and block that flow. So this is what you have to master, is the ability to not block the flow. Just, I'm a skier from way back, so they say let the skis run. You know, don't control, don't over edge, just let them flow. But when you feel out of control, your body will naturally kind of clench and hold on. So you're trying to get to the point where you feel like it's okay. You know, if I fall down, I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm not going too fast here. This is actually fun. So that way the process becomes an interesting discovery. And each one of these little etudes opens up into all kinds of possibilities for how to learn how to play the trumpet better. So one more idea and then I'll let you go. And this will apply to many, many things, but it's very obvious here. You go from A flat C below the staff, then a slur to the top of the staff to an E flat. Of course, I'm playing on C trumpet as usual, for what it's worth. And then from the top of the staff to the high C, significantly above the staff. So in a way, it helps to think that you're playing in 3 different zones. Instead of playing each individual note, kind of jumping, just play 3 different zones. So your air is going in the low register, at the top of the staff, and now that's all well and good, but you're not going to be able to do that unless your chops are in position and coordinated and have the necessary strength and skill in order to not be blown apart by the airstream and not freak out and choke the airstream off. If you can stay supple, you can do this. Now, start with smaller intervals, and eventually you'll get here. Maybe there's a reason why this is the last one in this book. But I think you're getting a little bit of an idea here. Now, I pretty much know that it would be messy for me to try this at the tempo. Ooh, that's crazy, but I'm going to try it anyway. So that was an utter failure, and so immediately, instead of just trying to play it again and playing it faster, I have choices. The main thing I'm going to do is slow it down. Why? Because it makes it simpler. So I can do other things to make it simpler too. And this is what I would do. I'm going to pause. And that's what I'm going to suggest that you do. Pause on the note before the large interval change, going up or down. Why am I doing that? Because I can feel, because I've been concentrating on this for many years, whether the body is ready to carry the sound across that gap and directly into the center of the next note. If I feel physically ready, I can go for it. If I don't feel physically ready, there's a reason. It's probably that I'm tight and that tension is getting in my hands. Maybe I'm using a little extra pressure. I'm starting to pinch in anticipation. Most people, their throat will be choking up. These are all the technical things that we run into. So there are reasons why we can have success with this or not. And your joy is to do the work to figure out what those reasons are and find good solutions that work for you. So I'll leave you to that work, and I hope you enjoyed this session and will join me for another one when you have time. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.